Today on Xeno I thought I would take the day and make myself a birthday present. I want it to be small and functional. I want it to have LED lights and make sound and have moving parts. Something that would look good on your grandfather's shelf or at a banging house party. Something realistic. Now, what in the vintage VU meters is this? Well, it's an audio power meter, and it meters audio power. So on the front we have two galvanometer meters, and these work by having a little electromagnetic coil on the inside, and when voltage is applied, the needle will move from the left to the right side of the meter, depending on the amount of voltage applied across the coil. On the back here we have two inputs, one for the left and one for the right, and in the middle a selector switch for 4 ohms and 8 ohms. So depending on the speakers you're using, the way that the meter reads the total wattage is a little different. Speakers with 4 ohm load, it's like resistance, the lower the resistance, more current it draws for given voltage. And we got 8 ohms here, which when selected prefers the higher voltage with a lower current to get the full wattage. On the inside there's just a simple divider network, and then a diode for making sure that the meter goes in only one way. Of course, because it's an electromagnetic coil, we can't put AC in there, because then the needle would go back and forth from the point where it started, so positive voltage and negative voltage. So we need to cap the negative voltage of the sine wave, of the sound going to it, so that way it only reads the positive side of the sine wave. And I'll get into that a little bit more later on in the video. So let's open this up. So not much going on the inside yet. We're going to be putting a lot of stuff in here. Got the 2 meters right here, little circuit board and stuff on the back for taking the audio power from the amplifier and sending it to the meters. Little calibration knobs and stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly what the full circuitry on these boards are, but honestly I don't really care about it, since I'm going to pull all of this out and replace it with my own parts. Boy, do I have a lot of parts to put in here. Let's pull out one of these meters. And I'm going to desolder it, kind of talk about what I want to do. So, of course, I want to light up these meters, and I want to have some warm white LEDs on the bottom, but I also want to include something else. So, I'll show you what I want to include once I get this board off. And I'm betting that'll come out with brute force. It does. Yeah, not all too much on the inside of that. Looks like a little capacitor divider, a couple of diodes, a little thermistor, and potentiometer. And there's the indicator. So yeah, thinking about doing some warm white LEDs on the bottom. Want to light that up, but check this out. This is important stuff to take in. Now I got a little violet LED light here, and you'll notice that the indicator needle glows under violet light. So of course I'm going to incorporate that into my build. I've got a whole bunch of SMG violet LEDs that I'm going to be using for this project. They should work pretty well. So these are the violet LEDs that I have. The first thing to do is to find a way to drive the needles. So what I have here is an LM386 little audio amplifier circuit setup. And I have a fixed 3.3 volt regulator here. I'll be using 5 volts for the entire system, for reasons I'll talk about later on in the video. On my output I have kind of a strange setup here. I have a 2K resistor and I have a pair of diodes. You'll notice that one diode is going one way, and the other diode is going the other. So how I have this wired up is that this resistor here matches the impedance of the coil on the meter. It's a 2 kilo ohm coil, and because this is capacitively coupled, I want to make sure that the needle just starts at the 0 point and carries along the positive instead of trying to go past that point on the meter. So how I managed to do that was on the negative side of the cycle, I just dumped the power from the audio amplifier into that resistor, which is matched with the coil impedance. And then on the positive side of the cycle, it goes out to the meter. So let's hook up that and see how that works. And play some music. Now you won't hear the music because of course it's being routed to the meter, but yeah. That'll work very nicely. I also want to include an LED VU meter in this device, and here's my idea for that. So I've got a couple of these LED VU meter boards, and they have 16 LEDs per channel. They also have adjustable gain and adjustable modes, so that's what these are for. So what I've done here is I'm going to use 5 volts directly, and I'm going to bypass that 5 volt fixed voltage regulator. Sadly, this thing needs at least 4 volts to run, so I won't be able to use just a regular lithium-ion battery for this project without a 5 volt boost converter, but that's definitely something that I'll add in the future. So I'm going to hook this up, and how this hooks up is it's going to get its signal off this little LM386, and it's going to go through about 15K to bring the levels to kind of match with the VU meter. Now of course, because this is a physical object, it's not going to move the exact same way as LEDs and a digital circuit will, but it'll be pretty close. Ground. So let's do a ground connection. I think the music just stopped when I need indication. Okay, cool. And we'll put one of these onto the output. Using the resistors I found, they work pretty well. We're going to replace these big resistors with probably a 1/8 watt resistor in the video. It's just testing ideas. Alright, and we'll put that to the output wire. So that will go to this positive here. And we should be able to connect this up and see some LED activity. which we do. So that's what I have now at this point to work with. When I turn that up, let's see, adjust the gain. Here we go. Turn it down. So a little bit of adjustment still needs to be done, but it's pretty close. Turn that down so you can see. Yeah. Yeah, that looks promising. We'll go with that. So how I'm going to do the VU meter with the LEDs is I'm going to be using the SMG Violet LEDs. And I found they run quite nice on those. So got one already wired up to this board. I'm going to cut this board right here. So I'll be having only about this portion of the board inside of the realistic power meter. I'm going to bypass all the resistors. Don't need them. This works fine on the 5 volts. Coming right off the chip. No problems. Doesn't get warm. Which is surprising. I think there's some voltage drop because of how the chip works, but you get a nice soft violet glow. Exactly what I want. So right there, off the light. Nothing too fancy, but if you got 32 of these in a row, it'll look pretty cool. Well, here's my idea for that LED VU meter. I made this little jig right here, and this little jig has 16 holes in it. So that's going to lay on the front like this. And I'm just going to make little divots with my soldering iron just to mark out where I want to drill. We'll drill 16 holes and 16 more holes here under this. So I'll have 16 violet LEDs. This will be lit up violet on one selection, and then just the warm white LEDs without any of the LED VU meter stuff. So it looks classy, or with the violet looks a little ravey. So yeah, warm white for class and violet for sass. Now of course this needs to make sound as well. So that's a whole nother animal. For the sound, I've got a couple of speakers selected. This little speaker will be for my highs, and we'll slide right into this corner here. We're gonna have to redo some of the inside plastic. I have this speaker right here, which will be my mids, no problem, and that'll sit in right here. And I have this speaker right here, which sounds like wet dog farts, but it's the closest to a speaker that fits in here and gives reasonably okay sound, but still wet dog farts. We're not going for high fidelity with this. It's just not gonna happen. But it'll make the noise. Oh, that'll sit there. So the entire inside will look like this when done. So 4 holes plus the 2 in the front, 16 holes on each side for the LEDs. I am going to have to also very carefully trim down the edges on the bottom and the top, so that way the LEDs I want to mount on the indicator will be able to fit. I want to mount the UV and white on the bottom and UV on the top. So warm white maybe here and here, and then we'll put however many ultraviolet LEDs, violet LEDs we have left over from doing the LED VU meter. So that's the plan. Quite a lot of work to do, but all the ideas are churning in my brain, and I'm excited to do it. Now that we all know what the plan is, let's get into action. First thing, I'm going to mark those 16 holes under each side for the LED VU meter. So I'll lay that flat and try to get it as centered as possible. Oh yeah, that'll work. Now I'm going to remove the material from the top and the bottom. You'll notice that the front of the VU meter actually sits in flush, so there's quite a lot of material that we can remove. Yeah, from the top to the bottom. Well, let's go and do that. Our weapon of choice will be the Dremel. And this awesome looking bladey thing. Oh yeah, power. Yeah. Definitely looks good. I'm going to clean up the tops and bottoms on that one. And I'm going to do this side and drill out all the holes. And we'll get back to doing the holes on the bottom. Now that I'm done making the holes in the front for the LEDs, I can now get to making the holes in the bottom for the 6 speakers. This is going to be a little bit of a tricky part, simply because this isn't flat. I can't just simply lay the speakers on here and measure the circles. It's a little hard to do. So I'm going to have to do the holes and kind of measure off the speakers as I go. So let's start with the smallest speaker first. That'll be in the corner here. We'll just plunge right in with this bit. See how that lines up. So yeah, that corner looks fine. I'll have to bring it out this way. Can do. Oh yeah, just about there. So I'm going to finish up that hole with the file. Let's move on with the other speaker holes. So the next one is going to be this speaker. That's going to sit in this area. So I'm going to have to be very careful how I cut it out. Let's start here, the same bit, make my rough hole. A little more towards that side, out that way, and yeah, cool. Yeah, we're getting close. And then the last hole here for the wet dog fart speaker. Yeah, you get where I'm coming from. I'm going to do the rest of these holes off camera, clean them up a little bit, and we'll start installing electronic bits. Now that I've finished all the holes on the bottom for the speakers, I get to start in on the task of laying in all the violet LEDs on the front. So 32 in total, 16 per side. I'll be putting them all in these little holes, and they'll lay flushly against the plastic in the back, and I'll be mounting them all in the manner of which the little arrow, a little triangle on the bottom of the LEDs will all be facing upwards like this. So let's get started with that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bit of a tedious process. So that's what I'll be doing. Yeah, I'll get back to the rest of the video when I'm done with all that. Here's what it looks like with the 32 violet LEDs installed on the inside. Lots of work, but hopefully well worth it. I have 16 positives and 2 negatives. And on the front, it looks absolutely great. Like, that really doesn't look out of the ordinary. Looks good. Now, the reason why I have 16 positives and 2 negatives is because that's how the board works. Let's take a look at the driver board here. I have 16 positives. Each one of these is a positive and is tied to one of the resistors. And we have 2 negative rails, so this is one of the negative rails here. And here's the other negative rail. And each one of these negative rails corresponds to a channel. So say this one was the right channel, this one was the left channel here. Each channel is turned on and off. So this one's on, this one's off, and they flip. And depending on which positive rail is on during the time it switches to that channel, it'll indicate exactly how many LEDs are on at the time. So it's a clever circuit, way to get the function of 32 LEDs with less than 64 wires. Now I know you're excited to see this run, and so am I, so I'm going to get this all wired up with this board that I've already cut down, and we'll give this VU meter a test drive. What do you think? I think we should focus there. Alright, let's get to soldering. This will be the side of the first LED, so the left side of the LEDs, and this will be the right side. Kind of marked with a 1 in 16, so hopefully that won't confuse me too much. Proper prior planning. And yeah, so I'm planning on gluing it in on the top like this. I'm thinking the meters will slide right in over the speakers when they're installed. I definitely want to install the speakers first, so that way I can glue them through the hole where the meter goes. So that'll slide in over the speakers and right in, no problem. So that's my plan of action. I say we're ready to give this a test run. So, yeah, let's do that. audio device. Move that over. In power. Positive. Here goes some violet LED action. Oh, that is nice. If you weren't interested in watching the rest of this video, you will be shortly. I promise you that. I love these scissors. I despise these goofy things. Alright. Yeah, let's turn off some lights and play some music. That is just cool. I was like, is there brightness settings? Maybe there is. I did not know about those. Alright, cool. Well, I'm going to hot glue all the wires down since everything works as it should. And we can get into putting the speakers in and lighting up the actual meters. Getting that wiring done. Yeah, it's looking slick. Let's put in some speakers. I'm going to start with the small corner ones. And I'm going to use YouTube's dirtiest hot glue gun. It's tried and true and applies hot glue. Let's put it to work. Oh, that could have gone better. Try this again. we'll clean that hot glue out a little later after it's fully glued in. Oh, I am terrible at this part, aren't I? Well, it certainly needs a little bit of cleanup, which I'm going to do. I'm going to get some of the glue out from the speakers, make sure it looks a little nicer and everything moves. Make sure everything is all nice and sealed. And we'll move down to mounting the indicators. So the indicators, they should just slide in. Let's double check that. Yep, they still go in. Cool. Looking good, looking good. Just a little bit of cleanup work. Probably trim down these tabs so that way the back cover can go back on. And we'll get the sound wired up as well. Now, as I said earlier in the video, I want to light up the meters with warm white LEDs and with the violet LEDs. I've already actually got this one done. Let me show you what it looks like. I'll connect this up to my power supply. And connect that. Turn off the light here so that way you can see a little bit better what it looks like. Very, very good. And now with the violet, turn it up to 3 volts. Thereabout. And that's what the violet looks like. Yeah, looks good. I am loving everything about this project. Just the right level of complicated and artistic. So I gotta get the tape off of this VU meter. And I'll glue the LEDs on. Got a pair of warm white LEDs and 6 violet LEDs to glue on. Some good tape.
I think it's been on there for a few years. Alright, time for LEDs. Yeah, those two whites will work. Quite tiny LEDs. And super glue, which in the hands of a novice is a nightmare. Alright, where did my violet LEDs go? I have misplaced violet LEDs. Huh. Gravity's a cruel mistress and the floor is its companion. So just like that. And now, every time I super glue, I always use a fan because I do not want the material to frost up. So I'm going to set up a fan. I'm going to let the glue set. Move on to the wiring of that little ring of LEDs there. And we'll get back to that. Here's the second VU meter, now all wired up with the LEDs. Got the 3 violet LEDs on the top, 3 more on the bottom, along with the 2 warm white LEDs. The negatives are all tied together and connected to the black wire. The positive of the white LEDs is connected to the white wire, and the positive of the violet LEDs is connected to the red wire. The wiring like this with the magnet wire is a little difficult, so I did it off camera, but this is how it looks before it goes into the box. Let's see how it looks with the power supply. Make sure it works. I'm going to turn off the light. And let's hook some wires up. So, turn that down. So that's the warm white. Disconnect that. Turn up the voltage. And we'll connect the violet LEDs up real quick. Make sure those are working. which they are. Cool. Let's install this into the box. It's coming together. So I think the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue this whole piece into the top finally, now that the meters are in. And I'm also going to build another little audio amplifier circuit for the second meter. So get those parts. And an LM386. Zoom. Okay, cool. Let's get one of these little audio amplifiers put together. We don't need that. That can go. These will just bend out like that. Connect the capacitor up to those. It's going to be our output. No, positive input. Okay. And then our output wire is here. These two get crossed. That'll be the negative. Grab some wire. Here's the negative. Positive. Little 1 microfarad 50 volt cap. That'll do. Have our signal input, so that'll get connected to the headphones. This is our output, so it's going to be a capacitor on that for the audio output. That is going to be sent to the meter. You know what, we'll move that and we'll just put the diodes and resistors right on there. Grab 2 diodes. Make sure that they're going in opposite directions, just like this. That goes on to the capacitor that normally the speaker would go to. So, onto here. The diode with the cathode connected to the capacitor. So this one right here. It's going to connect the resistor to the ground. And the output to the meter is going to go from the output ground, same ground as everything else, to this diode right here. So I'm going to put 2 more wires on that, which will run up to the dial, or the indicator. Oh, that goes to the ground. What am I doing? Ah, you goofy ground wire. It's not pretty, but it'll work. I'm gonna do the other circuit up to look exactly like that. Get rid of some of these extra wires on there, and yeah, we'll be good to install those in and get those needles moving. And here's my mangled mess of wires so far. I've got both my LM386 audio amplifiers done and wired up to the meters in the front, which means that we now have needle movement. I'm going to turn down the volume, turn up the volume, looks like it's working really good. Alright, so my next course of action is to take and glue these 2 down, put the 15K resistors on the output, and then tie the output to the LED VU meter board. And I'll run 5 volts to the little 3 volt fixed voltage regulator, and 5 volts to the LED VU meter board. So that way we have both the needles on the meters and the LEDs in the front running. And then I'll look into finishing up all the power wiring so we can get these meters lit up and everything going. I also need to add the selector switch, power switch, and the audio inputs and outputs on the back. Do the sound wiring with the other components I'm going to throw in for trying to clean up the sound a little bit, but we're getting close to done. So yeah, I'm going to glue some things down and connect those 2 meter systems together. Then we'll come back and start in with the audio and power wiring. If you're still watching this video, I'd like to thank you for your patience, and if you feel a little confused, no worries, it's relatable, and I'm the one making this project. But hey, let's go over what we have so far. Got this wire right here, which is for the gain switch on the LED VU meter, and this one is for the modes. We've got this cluster of wires right here. It's the 2 whites and the brown. The brown is for the signal ground, and this is our left and right wire right here, and those go to these 2 little amplifier circuits which power the meter. Those are connected up to this fixed 3.3 volt linear voltage regulator here. Got the positive for that. Got the 5 volts that goes to the LED VU meter board. front speaker wire on that side and front speaker wire here on that side. And then we have the warm white LEDs and the UV LEDs for the front here. And then all of our grounds. Well, so we're at this point. Also done some things on the back panel too. Let's take a look. So I have a pass-through set of headphone jacks, so you can plug in the device to a sound source and then plug it into a bigger amplifier. We're going to have a switch that actually turns off the amplifier in here, and that's going to be that board right here, so that's why it's right next to that switch. I'm going to use the original selector switch for the warm white and the UV for the meter. And I have these two push buttons, which are horribly off. Oh well, it's on the back. That's fine by me. It's not a project of perfection, it's a project of entertainment. Anyway, let's get to soldering things up. There's a couple of things that I want to set up on this board here. That's going to be all the power wiring. So let's get to that. Got the USB port here. It's a mini B. And we'll be soldering a positive set of wires coming up from that 5-volt input. So we want 5 volts to continuously feed to the amplifier circuit that drives the meter. So the wire we're putting on right now, it's going to go to the amplifier and to the LED switches. So alright, and that 5 volts is going to go to the center set of contacts there. And here you solder. It's really kind of a shame that I'm using that switch to just control some LEDs, but that's fine by me. Alright. Would you just stay? Alright, now we're going to run a small positive wire up to the amplifier. Probably zoom in for that, eh? There, now you can see a little bit better. A little bit. Alright, now all of the grounds are going to get connected to those two tabs on the USB. Now let's work on the speakers. Now the speakers are going to be rather interesting. I'm going to throw some other components in there that'll act like a crossover. Here's what I have. These two isolation transformers from an old modem book. And I'll be using these like little ferrite cores, and what that'll do is it'll eat up some of the high frequency going to the large speakers on the inside. And I'm also going to use these little groups of 6 10 microfarad ceramic capacitors, and these are going to go in the positive going to the speakers in the front. So just like a little crossover. Let's glue those transformers down. Oops, didn't want that. Let's see, output. Let's glue it like that. And each one of those then gets the positive wire from the speaker outputs on the little amplifier board. So let's do that. I have that one jumpered. Yep, they're both jumpered. Cool. At least all this point-to-point soldering is era appropriate. Although the USB mini B port definitely isn't era appropriate. Details, details, details. No, it's too short. I disapprove, disapprovingly. That'll work.
And now we'll do the same for the little capacitor banks, except we won't be gluing those down right away because we have to connect them to the speakers on the inside of the box. So 2 more red wires. Where's that short one? Can we sneak the... oh yes we can. Okay. So if you're working with making your own sound systems, I would definitely say look into using like bipolar capacitors or experimenting with different transformers, because you can tune what a speaker sounds like by using components like that. As I said, they're called crossovers, and they're really interesting devices. A lot of pro audio gear has crossovers in it. Alright, with those 2 connections made, we now solder on the little groups of the ceramic capacitors. And nudge that 1 capacitor back in the corner there. There you go. That's such a... hey. Man, that takes a while to cool down, doesn't it? Alright, next. Alright. Let's see, what other connections do I have to make now? I have to wire up the main speakers. Selector switch looks good. Yeah. I think we're close. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do now, because it looks like it's down to the wire, is oh, I need to do some audio routing. No, I can just do this right off the jacks. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna wire up these speakers now. So, zoom out. More confusing. Blue and white LVDS. You'll never figure out my secret schematics now. Alright, negative, positive, positive's longer, positive's on that side. Okay, cool. Negative is the shorter wire.
LVDS stands for low voltage differential signal. Is 5 volts differential or low? Yes, it is. Is audio differential? I think it would count. Technically, it's a proper use, right? Alright, and one more set of wires. And that'll be the negative being the longer one. So, yeah, this will come together real quick now. Look at it, I'm ready. Got the USB plug. We're that close. Alright. Negative. One's positive. Alright. Yeah, we're at the point we are going to start joining the back half with the front half. It's going together. This isn't even my final form. Alright, so power. Got the 3 grounds here. Those 3 grounds will be joined together. They're going to go to the negative of the USB port. Alright, I believe the only positive that goes directly to the USB port then is the one for the VU meter, which is going to be the green. So, bring the green around. Connect that to probably right here where the positive goes up to the switch. It'll be easier peg.
Alright, now I'm going to start wiring things up to the switches. So we have a positive 5-volt rail, the 2 reds. The one red is for the LED VU meter and the other red is for the UV LEDs. So these 2 reds are going to actually join together, and they're going to go on the same side of that one switch. The other side of the switch will be the warm white LEDs alone, and it'll completely shut off the LED VU meter. That way we have that class. Okay. So this positive goes to one side of the selector switch, so let's put it on that side. Looks good. The warm white LEDs are going to go on the other side of that same selector switch. So here's that wire right here. Alright, looks good. Now, I'm going to start wiring up the speakers because all the main power is done. So, this group of wires right here goes to the amplifier output negative, and then the capacitors right here. So for the front speakers, so do that, and the negative from these speakers is also going to join that. Oh, actually, you know what would be quicker? Come on, give me your blue wire. Ah, I fooled you. It's blue all along. Alright, so these two negatives are going to get tied together. They're going to go on the negative output on the left side.
The positive for the small speaker in the front goes to the capacitors, and the positive for the two speakers, these two, go to the little transformer. So let's hook it up that way. And we'll do the same thing for the right side. So small side. Alright, to the transformer. Yeah, it looks good. Told you we're gonna put a lot of stuff in here. Alright, next side. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna tie these two grounds together. And then the positive for the small speaker is gonna go to the other set of capacitors. And the positive for the other two larger speakers going to go to the transformer. So that's the plan. Oh, now it's getting tight. All right, positive for the front to the capacitors.
And front speaker positive. Sorry, large speaker. They all look the same. Oh, looks like a bird's nest. Okay. The next bit is now going to be the audio routing. So we have the brown to white. These are going to be connected to this headphones jack probably here. I have buried the red. Look at it be moved. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's move it over to the other audio jack. It's a little bit more free for soldering. So first the signal in ground. And before I connect that up, I'm going to put another black wire on there because we still need to send signal to the audio amplifier inside as well. So that's what this other wire is going to be for. It's going to feed to the audio amp for the signal ground. And then I'll do 2 more of them for the left and the right channel. You can do it. I believe in you. So that ground then goes to the amplifier. Right here would be the amplifier signal, and I think I'm going to put a 10K resistor between the signal coming from the headphones and the signal in on the audio amplifier, because I don't want to send in too high of a signal when the meters are going at full force, because I think it's going to distort the amplifier. So I want to drop the input signal voltage just a little bit. Two white wires. No, that one is for the left. Cool. Okay, so that one goes to the white wire side. Which just came off. That's nice. You know what? I'm just gonna put those 3 together. Up channel out. Oh, that's rubbish. The difficulty increases with every wire. You know. Okay. Now one for the right channel. For the same thing. Go to the other signal wire. Right here. Take it off my test port. Alright, honestly, it's just a few more things to go before we can fully test this. These two sets of wires here for the switches, for the gain and the mode. And then the resistors and the signal into the amplifier from those other two wires that we just put on, the white and the red. So let's go and get these connected. And these will go here. And we also need to run a negative wire up to the amplifier. Well, I bet that would help make the amp work. Let's run a negative up to the amplifier before we do anything else. Yeah, of course all the other wires fell off. Oh, alright, I got it. I'll get it.
Okay, I'm gonna need to move this up just for a second. That way I can get a closer look. Yeah. Alright, now, before this group of grounds go anywhere, a fix. Alright, ground to the amplifier for power, since we now have one. Resistors for the input. One more. Good resistors. Whew. It's a hot day, and this worklight is like a sauna. Great channel. Left channel. Okay. The only thing I think that is left to do at this point is the two switches. Then it's done. Yeah, I am looking forward to it being done. But go ahead and glue those little capacitors down. I'm out of ammo. Alright, let's hook up those two last switches as well. Yeah, we are literally like a minute away from plugging this all in. Cannot wait to play with the switches. Do more connections, and it's done. I hope. I hope. All right. Let's finish this. Okay. It's done. Plug it in. See if it does the does. Power. Wii does it does. Looks like it does it does. No, don't go sliding. There you go. Oh, it does it does. What does it do to the sound? Let's find out. Gotta go grab the sound device. Amp sounds like it works. Very cool. Oh, they're there, trust me. Music by Friends. Amp defeat. Oh yeah, the amp defeat works perfectly. Oh, one bad LED. I don't even care at this point. That's great. Man, I really love how this project turned out. It looks great, and it really does still look quite vintage. I love the simulated walnut grain finish sticker on there. This is very authentic. Gotta keep that on there. But yeah, it has a completely new life. Let's take this out for a test spin. I'd absolutely say that went together fantastically. Couldn't be happier. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want the song, the link is in the description below. I hope you enjoyed watching, and as always, stay tuned for more.